Hello, we're live. Hello, amigos. Yes, it's Hamburger Day. It's an important day where we honor the pinnacle of Western civilization, the hamburger. And yes, for those asking, it is the most important religious festival for me in the Church of the Fat Bastard. And I celebrated with burgers from my favorite burger place. Was actually spoiled for choice around here. I don't know, there's half a dozen good burger places within like two suburbs of here, so a short drive. And went to one of them, got two of their specialty burgers, and shared with young Mr. Angry. Cut them in half. One was like a mushroom and truffle burger. The other one was the barbecue bacon double beef burger. So we chopped them in half and had half each. Quite the treat. Although every Thursday night's burger night for us. That's the one night a week. Go out and get burgers. So here we all are, racing through another week. Hello, Invisible Chicken and Peter. We race through a week where we get all sorts of interesting happenings. The US passes 100,000 coronavirus deaths, and if I were a gambling man, I'd say they're about to accelerate rather than decelerate. And we've also got those rather out of control protests in Minneapolis, sparked by cops straight up murdering a dude. Yeah, I mean, I have trouble putting myself in the headspace of a cop to start with. But yeah, knowing they're being videoed and just kneeling on a dude's throat until you kill him, I'm just at a loss, honestly. Pete, your tests came back Rona negative. Good man, good man. Well, very noble of you to take the test. And it is, of course, good news because you're a young, healthy guy. A very, very high likelihood, bordering on 100%, that you'd be fine. Some people your age get sick to the point they need to be hospitalized, but almost certain to recover. But better to not have it, honestly. Yes, Invisible Chick. Yeah, well, we were talking about China last night. China taking over Hong Kong, having a border dispute with India, and being threatening to Taiwan as well. Yes. Oh, yes, Miglish, some of those live streams of the riots in Minneapolis were pretty over the top. And the cops who provoked it all seem to be way out of their depth. There's a thing that I think most people don't realize is, besides the Black Lives Matter protesters who started the protests in Minneapolis, there's the people who I have mentioned before, the Mujahideen, the Boogaloo crowd, the people who think a second civil war in America is not only inevitable but desirable, and they keep looking for opportunities to accelerate the path. And they got super interested because they probably, most of them sincerely, say that they're very angry. The cops are tools of oppression, and a cop murdering an unarmed person is unacceptable. There's a chunk of this crowd who are racist AF, and they don't give a damn about the black guy who got murdered by the cops. They're cynically exploiting it for their own gain. But they were very chatty on social media about possibly going in and starting some shit. Their stated desire was to provoke the cops into firing live rounds into the crowd. Cops are doing enough damage with rubber rounds and firing flashbangs straight at people. But these guys professed the desire to provoke the cops into shooting live rounds into the crowd, which they believe would give them justification to fire live rounds back at the cops. So it's pretty fucking weird. Well, Peter, you do have some complicating factors. Would make things pretty bad if you had the right. I mean, fucking no one's risk-free. There's some people at way less risk than others. I think I'm somewhere in the middle. I don't have complicating health factors, but I'm over 50 and I'm a fat bastard. You don't want to get really serious lung disorders at my age. I think I'm just kind of in the middle in terms of risk. I'm definitely not high risk, but I'm not minimal risk either. So I don't look forward to a scenario where the Rona gets me. So yes, like Drew was just talking about, things are a bit worse in the world, and fuck knows what's happening in America, man. Fuck knows where that's going. Fuck knows where it's going to end up. Every time shit goes wrong in the world at the moment for the last couple of years, you just can't help the feeling, why is this happening when the worst people imaginable are in control in different countries around the world? It's just like, oh my God, people who are just so out of their depth with what's happening. It's frightening. Annette, hello, hi, how you doing? I'll be requesting on Triple J's All Request Week, Eucharisted Bastard Cop by Doom. Yep. You could also request the one that got them in trouble. Well, there were two that got them in trouble years ago. Fuck the Police by Niggers with Attitude. They got told that they weren't allowed to play that. And someone got fired for it, which resulted in industrial action. And the other one was Cop Killer by Ice-T, which I find hilarious. Ice-T, back in his Yo, I'm a Badass Gangster days, and for the last 10 years, he's been most famous for playing a cop on Law and Order SVU. It's a strange old world, going from releasing tracks called Cop Killer to being in cop propaganda. This is interesting. Yes, Invisible Chicken, the worst people are in power. So many different places in the world. And we must struggle on. Oh, God, Annette, you've got the Cop Killer CD from Ice-T. There you go. Oh, Peter, does he still do anti-cop anthems with body count? Okay. It's kind of funny if he's doing that at the same time he's playing a cop in Law and Order SVU. Yes, McLeach, probably right all about the dollars. I don't actually follow him on Twitter, but I see other people retweet him sometimes. His Twitter handle is Final Level. He's pretty funny, honestly. The stuff I see is pretty funny. Invisible Chicken, is it chicken and an egg? Are we just unlucky that terrible people are in power while terrible things happen? Or are terrible things happening because terrible people are in power? Yes, like Stripper. That was the light thing as far as I'm concerned. Trump saying he was going to take action against Twitter because they dared to do a fact check on one of his tweets where he said that vote by mail was fraud and the election was going to be stolen. And they cited several studies that showed Trump's random bleatings were completely unfounded. Of all the things to fact check him on, that one really weirds me out. I mean, he'd been accusing an MSNBC host of being a murderer early in the week. that kind of feels like a more important thing to put a fact check notice on. Just saying. But yeah, so Trump's had a big spray about, they're interfering in the election. I'm going to pass laws. And as I understand it, the proposal, which has been pushed once or twice before, and Trump's intent on pushing again, is that social media platforms get treated as publishers for the material that people put on the platforms, which, of course, social media platforms have been regarded as not publishers because it's completely impossible for them to police the billions of things that are posted every day. And Trump, in his spitefulness, is saying, like, oh, well, they made an editorial comment by saying he was lying, so therefore they're a publisher, so therefore they should be subject to the rules of publishers, which is effectively saying social media shouldn't be allowed to exist, because it isn't possible. It literally is not possible for social media to be regulated the way broadcast and print media is. It simply isn't possible. So if you said, I'm going to put a legal onus on them to do that, that is effectively saying, I'm going to shut you down, because they can't possibly meet that. Now, there are a number of reasons I think he can't do that. Because what Trump and his mouth-breathing and incredibly cynical and evil supporters will say is, oh, he's not shutting them down. He's just making them take responsibility for what they do. Which is a lie. It's a deliberate bad faith argument. I think it's beyond their legal power. And also, look, let's get real. Money talks, bullshit walks. These businesses have billions upon billions upon billions of dollars tied up in them. And that amount of money could certainly stop Trump. And I notice Zuckerberg, the spineless, worthless, garbage pile of shit that he is, he actually criticized Twitter because he's, to me, he's scared. He actually thinks, or he's been told, that Republicans are actually quite serious about regulating social media, which means literally killing it. And so he's shit his pants and has done the absolute gutless shitbag act of thinking, no, Twitter shouldn't have done that. He is fucking garbage. Zuckerberg is just fucking garbage. Yes, Invisible Chicken. If he cuts ties with Twitter, where will he spout his incoherent nonsense? Exactly. And yeah, Logan Trooper, it isn't just that general idea that America's free, but the president's saying he can control the internet. It's the fact that the most aggressive supporters of Trump are the ones who most aggressively blather about free speech. I've got to have my free speech. Companies have got to be allowed to do what they want to do. It's purely and simply self-interested, bad faith arguing. That's why it's pointless engaging with people like that, because their starting position is in bad faith. Any arguments they make are in bad faith. And you cannot win with them, because every time you shoot down something they say, they'll simply move the goalposts. So fuck them. I'm not even going to waste time on them. Yes, Peter. So it does have the highest number of people in prison, has the highest per capita imprisonment rate. As the whole prisons for profit thing is the source of the problem. Yikes. So if you're just saying generally RIP Minneapolis, or were you saying Minneapolis man? Was there a man? Yes, it does seem rather out of control in Minneapolis at the moment. And again, this is one of those things where it's the second day, of rioting, basically. So that's interesting. I'm looking at, we were just talking about Trump and Twitter. There's an article in the Herald with the headline, "As Trump claims powers he doesn't have, Twitter draft order points to game plan." Oh, right. That's such a difficult headline to read. So, yeah, okay, starting with the dumb shit Trump's been saying about coronavirus, saying he could force state governors to relax restrictions, and he can't. He literally doesn't have that power. And as the other points out, very soon after saying, "I have complete power," Trump dropped the threat because literally everyone, even his most toady, lick-spittle, fawning, groveling courtier, said, "No, you don't have anything remotely approaching that right. And if you tried to flex, you just look like a complete fuckhead." And so Trump, I love the quotes. Trump just did his normal shit, because the journalists know he can't do it. He literally does not have any legal power to do that. So they said, "Explain to me how you do it." And he just goes, "I can do it. I can do it if I want to. You got many different ways. I can override him if I have to. I'll do that." And it's just he lies and vacillates. He is the most pathetic person in history. He's so weak and pathetic. I don't notice someone saying, "Oh, just because Trump doesn't have the authority to do it doesn't mean he won't." He'll sign executive orders going, "I declare blah, 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 blah," and it'll be struck down the first time it's challenged in court. And now we got onto his gripes with Twitter. And it says, while Congress could pass legislation further regulating social media platforms, Trump has no such authority, said former federal judge Michael McConnell. He's just venting. There you go. So other people, it's not a first thing, but Jack Balkan, Yale University law professor and First Amendment expert, says that's not Trump's point. All right, this is an attempt by the president to, as we used to say in basketball, work the refs. He's threatening and cajoling with the idea folks in these corporate boardrooms will think twice about what they're doing so they won't touch him. Yeah. So, yeah, this is what everyone thinks. They think Trump's threatening an executive order that reviews the law that's protected social media from being responsible for the material posted by their users. What I was saying before. And that is literally what's the death of the internet. It's not just the death of social media. It's the death of websites. It's the death of blogs. It's the death of YouTube. If the publisher is if the website host, if the company behind it is directly liable for everything that appears on their platform, all those platforms are dead, which is why it won't happen, because that would be well, it would almost certainly be struck down by courts as unconstitutional. And even notwithstanding that, the hundreds of billions of dollars tied up in these businesses means very powerful vested interests won't allow Trump to do those things. It's just, you know, sooky little toddler with nappy full of poo having a tantrum. And that it isn't that simple as the platforms moving offshore and not being companies that are physically housed. That's actually a really complicated process, because those, where those companies are incorporated, where the people who sits on the board are, it's very, very, very complicated. But it's just because there is hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars tied up in it. They won't let it happen. But you can see Zuckerberg's scared. Zuckerberg shitting on Twitter is showing what a horrible, horrible fucking monster he is. And hey, Justin, how are you doing? Like, stupid. Do I think America is the freest country in the world? I think that's a question without meaning, because for every aspect of the word free that you could hold up about America, you could hold up something else that's just terrible oppression that doesn't exist in some other places. I think it's a subjective concept, and there is no objective answer to the question. I think virtually any answer to that question is driven by vested interests and self-interest. Justin, you had burgers? Yeah, for World Burger Day. It's what it's all about. Burgers on Burger Day. Got to do it. Absolutely got to do it. I'm so full. They're not, you get some places that do stupidly huge burgers. They're like novelty things, and there's 10 bloody patties in this. No, these were that, but they were big, and there was a lot in them, and they were they were very good. Like a strip, you think Daily Motion might have legs yet. Kind of related to what you're saying, but because I'm in a few like Facebook groups, I'm on forums about YouTube and whatnot, and there's this one thing that keeps coming up, and it's come up ever since YouTube became the platform for video. People being dissatisfied with it and saying, I'm going somewhere else. It's just like, and it's very often been about copyright. That's been the most common complaint over the years. Views that YouTube is too restrictive with the enforcement of copyright laws. And you go, I'm going to start a new site where you want to get. Every time someone says that, I just want to fucking slap them. And it's just like, shut the fuck up. You sound like a fucking moron. Okay? If you go to another site or make your own site for video that has no rules, there's only two reasons that could operate. One is no one's ever going to fucking use the site. And two is you haven't reached the size. Any website, any social media platform, any video sharing platform that started to approach the penetration that YouTube has would immediately face all the pressures that YouTube does. This is not about YouTube. This is not YouTube would love it if there was no copyright control on their site and users were posting copyrighted content all the time. YouTube would love that because, they'd get the billions of fucking unique users traffic each day and they're not paying for the content and they just get to put ads next to it. YouTube would love that. But it's media companies that impose the limits on YouTube. Now, YouTube on the regular fucks up their handling of copyright issues, but they've pretty much been forced into it by these media companies who have pursued really quite stupid lawsuits against them, saying, you've infringed our copyright. And 100% of the motivation of these lawsuits has always been obnoxious, talentless executives at media companies going, but Google has money. I want money. I want their money. And copyright is a good thing in as far as it protects the creators of original content. Okay? Media companies can get fucked. Media companies are evil, soulless leeches that suck the soul out of creativity and art. They're the scum of the fucking earth. And you get people who go, yeah, YouTube has to pay. And you got this dumb shit coming out of the European Union for years. Google has to pay for the individual creators and whatnot. Like, fuck you fucking morons. The sorts of laws that you're being spoon-fed by these major media companies will fuck over independent creators even harder. It's about established media empires tightening their grip on the flow of media. It's sick fucking bullshit. Nobody fucks over creators and artists more than media companies. Book publishers fuck authors. Record companies fuck bands and performers. TV stations, movie studios fuck actors, writers, directors, effects people, everyone. They're fucking evil. They're fucking scum. Which is not to say Google and Facebook and Twitter don't have responsibilities that they should be meeting. There are responsibilities they should meet, and they have regularly been quite bad at meeting those things. But fuck any sort of high moral ground arguments from media companies. They're the scum of the fucking earth. Yeah, Peter, it's a good point. You get really stupid shit. Music teachers get flagged for just mentioning bands or songs. It's absolutely ridiculous. Oh, you're talking about Australia's thing. I know that PDS, the Civicus Monitor downgraded Australia's democracy status from open to narrow last year. We most certainly are being run by people who have very totalitarian, totalitarian's too far, but authoritarian tendencies is definitely yes, the current mob. I mean, from their prosecution of whistleblowers to their advancing of things like warrantless wiretapping, increasing police powers to hold people without charge, to interrogate people without legal representation. Dutton is definitely the worst of all of them. Dutton is a fucking monster. I think I've called someone else a monster tonight. He's a monster too. They're all monsters. Locust Trooper, have I heard of BitChute? Vaguely, I have. Oh, right. Yeah. No. Okay. BitChute is horseshit. I knew I'd heard of it. Yeah, no, fuck them. See, okay, here's the thing. Their Wikipedia entry, hosting service created to allow video uploaders to avoid content rules enforced on other platforms such as YouTube, and they accommodate far-right conspiracy theorists, hate-fueled material. BitChute only operates because fucking no one's on it. If they ever achieved any traction in terms of a large number of users, they would not be able to do their dumb shit. They would get prosecuted the same as Google or Facebook would get prosecuted for hosting that shit. The only reason they exist with their "woo, we're going to put all the hate speech on here" is because they're too small to count for shit. They're absolutely meaningless. Justin, what about Murdoch shutting down regional papers? It's just the money thing. So, News Corp is bleeding cash. News Corp is just, absolutely screwed, essentially. So, yeah, it's yeah, I don't know. It to me, it doesn't really mean anything. Yeah, it's just Murdoch's just going, I don't give a shit. Blech. Hi Charlie, 8chan. No, but 8chan's the same thing. No, we're talking about a video hosting site called BitChute. Yes, Annette, News Corp is evil, and it's just that millions of people were employed by them as well, and they're all going down the toilet with it. Do I like TikTok? I'm not on TikTok. I don't watch things on TikTok, but people always share TikToks on Twitter, so I see some funny ones. It's for the kids. I'm not going to wrap my head around how the fuck does TikTok work. Yes, Annette, I have trouble having any sympathy for someone who'd work for News Corp. Because you're a fucking agent of evil, basically. If you're working for News Corp, you are aiding and abetting absolutely vile shit. So it's very hard for me to have sympathy for them. I don't spend a lot of time wishing ill on individual people who work for News Corp, but I have a hard time raising sympathy for anyone whose morals are so fucking low that that's who they work for. Is the Australian News Corp? I think so. I think they're at least part owner. Just looking it up. The Australian is published by News Corp. There you go. Yeah, they are. I wasn't actually sure. What Australian papers are owned by News Corp? The Herald Sun, the Telegraph, the Courier Mail, and the Australian. Locust Trooper. Which is more evil, the extreme left or the extreme right? So which is more evil? The ones who see the injustice in the world and want to bring it down by radical means to create a fairer world, or the hate mongers who want to violently repress anyone who they consider other? Which of those is the more evil? It is a difficult question. Which is more evil? People driven by a desire for equality and justice, or people driven by a desire for hate, violence, and repression. It's very difficult to work out which of those ideologies is worse. Oh God, yes, strictly so, yes. The video of the guy getting killed by that cop is very bad, and yeah, Minneapolis is burning as a result. Don't know where that's gonna go. That's weird. Like I said, a weird and troubling aspect of what's happening in Minneapolis is, as I mentioned before, these extreme right wingers, the militia crowd, the ones who want a second civil war, they are seeing the protests as an opportunity to advance their agenda. Whether it's a question of how much their talk and how much their action, but they are on various social medias they use. They are openly talking of accelerating what's happening in Minneapolis, using it as a flashpoint for their ideologies. And it's really weird to see these. This is the first time I can remember these extreme right wingers actively advocating on behalf of a black man who was murdered by the cops. And it's a bit unsettling, quite honestly, that they're willing to drop their racism to advance their agenda of attacking cops. It's quite unsettling. I don't know where it's going. Okay, so people bringing up Mao and Stalin. I don't consider them extreme left. I consider them authoritarians. It's basically, no matter what the preached ideology or the starting ideology for someone is, if they move to an position of power and, are building empire, they're just authoritarians. Terms like left and right cease to have any significant meaning. In answer to the question, I meant ordinary people. By most people's definitions, I'm fairly extreme left. When I was answering the question about extreme left and extreme right, I meant like ordinary people who are motivated by the particular ideologies. I was not talking about politicians. I was definitely not talking about authoritarian rulers. And by the way, the tolls of Stalin and Mao pale into insignificance next to the tolls of the British Empire and the other European colonizers who, over the centuries, brutally killed billions of people. I mean, it literally, it isn't even close. It's admittedly over a longer timeline, but the death toll exerted by proto-capitalist colonizers is orders of magnitude higher than the 20th century toll of authoritarian communists or socialists, whether in the Soviet Union or China. So yeah, it's meaningless to talk about ideologies and death tolls. Authoritarians and colonizers just fucking kill people. It's what they do. What was it, Peter? The Black Book of Communism straight up lies about. Oh, right. Yes. Yeah. Um, Probably the big tolls, both in the Soviet Union and communist China, were actually famine. Rather than the Nazis actually rounding up people and putting them in camps and killing, 8 to 12 million people in camps. Although both the Soviets and communist Chinese did that as well, just not in the same numbers. But the majority of death toll in Russia and Soviet Union and China was famine. And depending whose history you believe, it's a mix of really bad policy, like ideology over evidence, and just really brutally enforced ideology having a really negative feedback cycle. And there's also evidence that an element of it was deliberate, like deliberately creating a situation that would starve out a group of people that were troublesome. Like the English did to the Irish, killed half the population of Ireland with their policies. No one's hands are clean, and the people who want to point at someone else usually have the dirtiest hands. Locust Trooper, no, I'm not a moderate. I'm not in the middle. As I said, by most people's measures, I'm extreme left. So I'm super fucking happy I wasn't in Stalin era USSR. That would have been a nightmare. Also, in Mao's reign in China, I would not like to have been part of that. I would not like to have been in India when the European colonizers went fucking over. Not that everything's great now, but certainly there was a period of several hundred years where the colonizers managed to kill hundreds of millions of people with war and famine. There are all different parts of history that are just super fucked, and I'm glad I'm not in. Although I'm really starting to worry about this point in history. Do you ever wonder, like, do people always feel like this? Because I grew up in the 80s. We were fucking sure we were going to die in nuclear war, and on the scale of things, the 90s and the noughties were comparatively calm. There's a shit ton of stuff that happened, obviously, but I feel like the 90s and the noughties were relatively calm. But then, man, the fucking teens, when we started staring down the barrel of, Jesus, I don't think we can avoid catastrophic climate change. Does everyone always feel like this at all the points in history? So again, you're asking who's worse, Putin or China, or the leader of China? It's well, what are you measuring? There's lots of ways I'd measure Putin to be worse. There are other ways I'd measure the bloody Chinese government to be worse. It depends what you're looking at. One of them's not universally bad and everything. It's a different things. Putin's fucked. Putin has virtually no redeeming features, and I don't see a huge number of redeeming features in the Chinese Communist Party either. So that could be internet. Maybe we just know more than we used to. I don't know. You think it was the Dark Ages doesn't have written history because there wasn't anything much writing down. I kind of thought it was because a bunch of people died, and then everyone spent a bit of time freaked out, and there was actually, I'm about to start saying something. I've never even studied the Dark Ages. Should read more history, actually. Should go and get some good history books and read them. Mr. Gonzo Ying is the ease of access to information. It's the little glowing rectangle of terror that anytime, day or night, you can beam all the horrors of the world straight into your fucking head. Yeah, it's good and it's bad. The witch hunts, didn't the witch hunts come way after the Dark Ages? I thought they were like 1800s. We have a second Dark Age. I don't know. You get people making jokes that Idiocracy is a documentary that fell back through time. My worry is Mad Max Fury Road is the documentary. Yes, speaking of which, I think I need to watch Mad Max Fury Road again, just because it's just one of the best films, if not the best film of the last 10 years. Last 20 years, this century. If someone said, well, the best film that come out this century, instantly, to me, it just leaps Mad Max Fury Road, and then I'd have to start thinking about other ones. Oh, you're talking about European witch hunts. See, I was, because again, this is cultural propaganda. Whenever people talk about witch hunts, it makes me think of the Salem witch hunts in America. But of course, there were witch hunts, witch trials in Europe. Yes. We colonize Mars. I think, and I'll just start kicking Elon Musk again because I fucking hate the guy so much. Elon Musk is nonstop talking shit. We should maybe make Earth habitable before even considering colonizing Mars. I just think the concept of colonizing Mars is such unmitigated bullshit. Such stupid, overgrown baby boy idea of a clever thing to do when the effort should be on preserving life on Earth. But, Elon Musk isn't a privileged, slave-owning, red pill fuckboy. He is a piece of shit. Yeah, got to talk shit about space, Karen Peter. Elon Musk maybe has lots of plans, Locust Trooper, but Elon Musk's actions are dominated by shitting his pants and putting his hands down there and smushing it all about because he likes the way the sloppy poo feels on his pee-pee. Yes, I said it. That's Elon Musk's sexual fetish, okay? It's out there now. It's true. Satire is what it is. It's what I heard. It's what I heard in my head. I heard it in my head. Why hate Elon Musk? Because he's a lying, opportunistic, exploitative sack of shit who leeches off other people's breakthroughs. Okay? His family fucking fortune was from apartheid emerald mines. He's fucking piece of shit. I almost can't hold it against him. I honestly think, as human nature, if he's had a decade of two of people telling him he's a genius. It's been his own marketing spin, and it's been his own PR pitch that put the thought into people's heads that he's a genius, and they lapped it up. Media and internet people lapped it up, but he started to believe his own press releases, basically. Who's worse, Dutton or Stephen Miller? Stephen Miller is a literal, actual white supremacist, Nazi ideology loving piece of shit. And he has the ear of the President of the United States of America. Stephen Miller is orders of magnitude worse than Peter Dutton. Peter Dutton is a horrible little racist potato splashing about in the small puddle that is Australia, doing his best to make it as miserable as possible because he's a tiny-minded, bigoted, authoritarian prick. But Stephen Miller is an just out-and-out white supremacist, pro-Nazi ideology, and he's in the fucking ear of the President of the United States. He is incredibly dangerous. He's also absolutely reprehensible, just absolutely vile and disgusting, like as in just a worthless excuse of a human. Justin, you've got Joe Biden core flutes. Nice. I have somewhere, God, I think I know where it is. I could probably find it. I have an Obama Biden core flute. I bought it when I was in America in the lead up to the election and brought it home in my luggage. Found it again when I moved house 3 years ago and I kept it. Could have thrown it out, but I kept it. So I have an Obama Biden core flute. There you go. Yeah, I just bought it as a souvenir. I used to have it just sitting like in my old house. It was sitting on top of this bookshelf that when I was doing live streams from there, depending what angle I had it on, you might be able to see it like right off in the distance, this Obama Biden thing. And I remember I did like a Skype interview with these people at the website, and this was when Hillary Clinton was running for president. So this is like 4 years ago. And it was a like webcam. It wasn't just audio. Sort of thing. And I was doing an interview with these people who were pro Hillary Clinton. And, I wasn't saying anything mean about Hillary Clinton. I was just talking about things general. And they were asking me about Australian policy and And we finished. And I don't know. And I looked at the screen and I'd had the webcam at an angle so really small, but often the distance was the Obama Biden core flute. And actually, maybe it just says Obama. I don't know if it mentions Biden. And right at the end of like this interview with these people, I realized it was there. And I just went, oh my God, I just saw a thing. And if you see it in a thing, I was not having it wasn't put there as a wind up. It was literally just a souvenir, and it's just off in the corner there. And I just realized it's visible in the shot. I'm honestly not having a go at you. Peter, thanks for dropping by, mate. Good to see you. Why did I hate my old landlord? Because he was miserable. He was a fucking piece of shit, complaining all the time, tried to make our lives miserable. And we were really good pay rent on time tenants. Fucking piece of shit didn't know how good he had it. But yeah. Yes, Gonzo. Yes, the candidates for the upcoming US presidential election are indeed awful. And yes, I would agree. Biden is less bad than Trump, but it's absolute bullshit when that's the choice you're presented with. Like, oh yeah, Biden's horrible about this, and this, but he's not as bad as Trump. That's just bullshit. That is just the worst. Did he increase my rent? Not in an unreasonable way. In fact, because this place we were living in was so run down, God, it was about 50% cheap. Well, it was about 25% cheaper than other houses in the same neighborhood because it was really fucking run down. as I found out when I moved. Had to pay a lot more rent because houses that aren't complete shit cost more to live in. And no, he was just a piece of shit. Wouldn't fix things. Kept treating us like shit. Kept trying to make our lives difficult. And eventually moved out because I couldn't take his shit anymore. And then he tried, we'd been in there over 10 years, and then he tried to make all these ridiculous claims and cost us a lot of money, which he lost, but he just put us through a lot of stress having to challenge all these bullshit. He's just an absolute fucking piece of shit. I used to joke I never yelled at him. I'm not like that. I used to joke, though, that I was going to report him to the Jewish Anti-Defamation League because he was in fact Jewish, but he was perpetuating the stereotype that Jews are mean and miserly and awful people. so he was actually perpetuating negative stereotypes, and so the Jewish Anti-Defamation League should have gone after him. That's just me being silly, though. Yes. Mr. Gonzo, Simpsons has all the good lines about how when there's two shitty candidates, someone says they're going to vote for a third party, go ahead, throw your vote away. Yes. Well, I like that one too, Annette, Cthulhu 2020. Why choose the lesser of two evils? My other preferred candidate is Giant Meteor of Death 2020. Please just end it all. Just, we keep getting rumors of large celestial bodies passing close to Earth. Could one of them just put us out of our misery, honestly? It's ridiculous. Hey, Locust Trooper, it's not good when landlords keep increasing rent. My landlord did increase rent. It's never to an exorbitant amount, but he was just a shithead. What about that Micah Leifer extradition? I have no idea what that is, Safa. So I shall look it up. Micah Leifer. What's that about? A YouTuber? Micah Leifer. Yep. Geez, looks like they do porn. Are we talking about a porn star now? I've never heard of that. I think some of those links were very dubious. I'm not following. Oh, yes. Coronavirus is going to take everyone with it. It was not, but I think it is going to wreak havoc. We are just in such a weird place where we think we've seen what this can do. We've only seen the start of it. The first wave's not even over. Historically, it's the second wave we've got to worry about. I have a lot of trepidation about the rest of this year. Oh, Safa, the Jewish teacher. Yes. The one who's abusing all the kids. And I think unless Michael Leff is also a porn star, you might have, but I know who you're talking about now. Yes, a Jewish teacher who sexually assaulted children in Jewish schools in Australia, fled to Israel, and the Israeli authorities said, yep, no, this person should be extradited back to Australia to face charges. Been faking mental illness, and the court said, yep, bullshit. Yeah, why's the second wave so scary? Well, what the first wave of the 1918 flu killed about 1 million people, and the second wave killed, I don't know, we'll never be sure, but somewhere between 20 and 50 million people. So it's like, oh. And you look at stuff, there are a number of places around the world that look like they're doing their level best to be responsible for a really bad second wave, and that's the US, Brazil, Russia. Jesus, this shit can get out of control, and it's not in control. It's not in control in the US or Brazil or Russia or the UK. There are just reports that South Korea has had a really disturbing surge in cases, like hundreds of new cases. Again, hundreds, that's not a very big number. But what we saw from the way the first wave took off, you go from hundreds, if you don't control it, you go from hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands very quickly. Locust Trooper, how do I keep my face fresh? Not a wrinkle in sight. Good, clean Christian living, my friend. Maybe it's also being fat. Maybe that stretches my face so there's no room for wrinkles. Maybe I shouldn't lose weight, because then my skin would get all saggy and be wrinkly. Also, in seriousness, like a trooper, staying out of the sun. The sun will age you like nothing else. I never go out in the sun. I am very pale. Yeah, strictly Sega, the US is opening everything, and they're still getting thousands of people dying a day. Which is true, Megaleech. Being fat makes my skin smooth. I think I wasn't joking. I think that's part of it. That's true, strictly Sega. I'm short, so I'm further away from the sun. So I get less sun damage. Taller people are going to get more sun damage because they're closer to the sun. That's just science. That is just science. I think I age more than Asian people, like a stripper. I think a lot of Asian people, once they hit 20, it's very hard to tell their age until they hit 50. I am generally very bad at telling people's ages. But some people, like what they say in America, black don't crack. How a lot of Black Americans seem to have very good skin, and they don't show age. There's certainly, Jesus, it probably helps being a celebrity, but you see some Black American celebrities who are in, like 70, and they look like they're somewhere between 30 and 40. It's amazing. Does Siberia count as Asia? How do Siberians see themselves suffer? I know, you got a lot of Genghis Khan blood if you're in Siberia, generally. I mean, rumor has it we all have a bit of Genghis Khan blood, but certainly part of the Asian landmass. And I guess it also depends what part of Siberia you talk about as well. Because the world's just more diverse than we often think about. You think it's plastic surgery with the 70-year-old celebs? You may be right. You may well be right. There may be some cosmetic work going on there. At the very least, there's probably what's the stuff they inject? Botulism? Botox, yes. Yeah, no, but definitely, hot tip, stay out of the sun. Oh, so this picture that freaked me out. It was a truck driver. It was an American truck driver. He was 50 or 60, and he had been a truck driver for 40 years, and for a long time. And of course, when you drive a lot, you get the sun on one side of your face. There's always the joke, like truck drivers or delivery drivers had a sunburned right. Well, in Australia, it's your right arm. In America, it's your left arm. But this guy who'd been a truck driver for decades, his face was like split down the middle, like the half that was out of the sun. It was showing his age, but the other, and it was literally like a split down the middle of his face. The other half, the half that had got the sun every day for decades was just so wrinkled and so worn. And it was the weirdest photo because it was like this guy was two people who split down the middle, and it was just decades of sun damage. That was really weird. Yeah. So, yeah, I burn really easily. It's a while since I've got seriously sunburned, but if I don't pay attention, if I like forget that I'm out in the sun and I'm just out in the sun for a couple of hours and like I've forgotten to put on sunscreen, I'm not wearing a hat and I'm not staying under shade, I only have to be out in the sun for about an hour. What am I drinking? Nothing. That was my lemon lime. I should make a drink. Laura, good evening to you. So, yeah, no, it's really we get whole weeks where it's over 40 Celsius every day. We get fucking nasty summers. We actually had a comparatively mild summer in Melbourne, at least. Some of the country areas had brutal summers. Like we, of the whole country, Melbourne dodged the fires and the effects of the fires more than just about anywhere in Australia. It's okay. Mega Leach found me the picture of the truck driver, Bill McGilligan. Okay, 69. Nice. Oh, yeah, this is the picture. I'm going to show you the picture. Thanks to Mega Leach for finding this. Chrome tab. Facebook. Share. Oh, no, that's not the one I wanted to share. No. Remove. Stop screen. Okay, share screen. That was the wrong tab. This one is the one I wanted. So, see this picture? This guy is 69, and yeah, like the right-hand side of his face, which was out of the sun, that looks like a normal 69-year-old. But you can see the left-hand side of his face that was in the sun for decades is so much more aged, so much more skin damage. It's like, dang. So, yeah, that's what the sun does to you. Yes. Oh, Laura, the joke about everything in Australia trying to kill you, the sun is the thing that's trying to kill you the most. The number of people who die from skin cancer every year. I think we have the highest rate of skin cancer in the world. So far out. Yep. Sunscreen every day. I really regret it if I ever go out in the sun and don't wear sunscreen. Yeah, I usually only do it once or twice summer. I usually don't get severely think. Do I remember when hats and sunscreen were dagging uncool? Yes, some people still act like it, but yeah, in summer I'll always try and remember to wear my hat and wear sunscreen because like an hour. If I go an hour without protection, I'm going to get painfully burnt. Not horribly burnt, but it'd be like ow, 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 ow. So it happens really quickly with me, and it can sneak up on you. Like you don't realize, I don't feel that hot, but just constant UV rays. Safa, did I wear a hat in school? No, I'm too old for that. They didn't take that shit seriously when I was a kid. I'm not sure when they started with the kiddies wearing hats in school, but it was a long time. It was decades. Like it's like primary school age kids do it now. It was decades after I finished primary school that they started doing that. Not sure exactly when, but a hell of a long time. You wouldn't have been allowed to wear a hat at school when I was at school, let alone forced to. You wouldn't have been allowed to. Sun factor 9,000 from Laura. Yes, is that the Dragon Ball reference? Right. It's Thursday night. I think I should treat myself and make a drink. I treated myself last night and made a drink. What am I talking about? Dun, dun, dun. What did Difford say is the drink of the day? I really like the Difford site. Of course, it's Ian Fleming's birthday. Oh, man, while I'm thinking of it, I should share. Hanging cocktails. Okay. Was James Bond an idiot? Twitter. Share this to Twitter. It's Ian Fleming's birthday, so you should celebrate with a favorite drink of his most famous creation. And put that on the Facebook as well with a quick copy paste. There you go. Little bit of self promo. Why not? Okay. So back to Difford's. Yes, it is Ian Fleming's birthday. A Vesper Dry Martini. It's also Glyndonborne's birthday. I don't know what Glyndonborne is. In the 1930s, John Christie thought England was missing out on opera, decided to bring it to his stately home, Glyndonborne. He built a theatre, hired talented opera folk escaping from the early years of Nazi Germany, created an institution, which opened this day in 1934. There you go. All right, so it's an expensive country manor. And that's the anniversary of Pakistan going public with its nuclear weapons. On this day in 1998, Pakistan exploded 5 nuclear weapons underground in a very public demonstration to its rival India that it too had nukes. So apparently there's a nuclear daiquiri they're recommending, which is overproof rum, green chartreuse, lime juice for Lernum, shaken with ice. I have all those. Well, I don't have a white overproof rum, and yes, I guess you do tend to make daiquiris with white rum. I could make it with my poutine, my Irish moonshine. Like, sure, when do I think we would travel overseas again? Not till there's a vaccine, as pure and simple. So my money would not. Okay, we're talking about opening up travel between Australia and New Zealand because we're both got things under control, relatively speaking, and that is going to unless something goes terribly wrong, that's probably going to happen in a couple of months, like September. Just in time for springtime. Go on holidays in springtime between Australia and New Zealand. But generally open international travel, not going to happen until there's a vaccine, which might never happen. But yeah, I don't see broad international travel happening before 2021. And I mean way into 2021. Safa, New Zealand's worth it. I've had one holiday in New Zealand. It's beautiful. It's really worth a holiday. Oh, wow. Laura, your parents were in the Royal Air Force, posted to Germany when you're 10, and you're playing cricket in summer, got the sun badly. Your mum put calamine lotion on your back, and it turns out you're allergic to it. Went into anaphylactic shock. Jesus. What a nightmare. What an absolute nightmare. Locust Trooper, I'd be really surprised if there is widespread international travel before June 2021. In many, many, many ways, I hope I'm wrong, because if it happens sooner, that means we've more or less got shit under control. See, I'm just not optimistic. I don't see widespread international travel happening before June 2021. Could be wrong. Like I said, I honestly hope I'm wrong. Nuclear daiquiri, rum, chartreuse, and lime, and flornum. Yeah, I could do that. I don't have overproof rum, so I could just do 2 shots of Bacardi instead of 1 shot of overproof. What's the opera cocktail they're suggesting? Well, that's 2 shots of gin, maraschino, French rouge aromatized, 2 shots of French rouge aromatized wine. Well, I don't have that. I have an Australian rouge aromatized wine I could substitute with orange bitters. That's a lot. That's 4.5 shots. That's a lot of volume in that. Tell you what, I'm going to put a glass on ice while I consider this. I think we'll make a drink. All right. Chilling like a villain. Okay, you go over there. You go over there. I forgot I've got my Death Star ice spheres. For a laugh, bought an ice mold that makes Death Stars. So now I want to come up with a cocktail called the Death Star, put in my tiki mug with this Death Star ice sphere in it. Oh gosh, Safi, your mum used to a closed country. So I'm assuming that's Eastern Bloc country under the Soviets. Yeah, Locust Trooper, I don't see you getting to go to an MMA class in Taiwan next year. I don't see it happening. Oh, that's what I was going to look up. I bet someone's published a cocktail called the Death Star. I come up with my own. Oh, liquor.com, they're fairly... And Difford's have one too. Okay. Liquor.com's Death Star is Jägermeister, whiskey, vodka, triple sec, sour mix, Coca-Cola. God, it's a Long Island iced tea. That's basically a variant on a Long Island iced tea. Every fucking website has ads for those custom bobbleheads. Jesus. Difford's Death Star, Pisco, Strega, Cynar. There's a lot less alcohol in Difford's Death Star. And very different alcohol. What's in an opera is gin, maraschino, and rouge. And should know the Vespa because I just made my video with the Vespa Martini. Oh, okay. That's slightly different, however. They say 2 shots of London-style dry gin, which is what I did, and only 2/3 of a shot of vodka, and I actually did a full shot of vodka. And they're saying a shot of the aromatized wine, split between a 6 Lillet Blanc and a 6 Kina aromatized wine. And I did half a shot of aromatized wine. I used Cocchi Americano. So mine had slightly more alcohol in it, like only about half a shot more, though. Only about half a shot more, so not that many difference. Like this, their comment on it. Many bartenders advocate that a martini should be stirred, not shaken, some citing the ridiculous argument that shaking will bruise the gin. If you like your martini shaken, then avoid the possible look of distaste from your bartender and consider ordering a Vespa. This particular dry mini martini is always shaken, an action that aerates the drink, makes it colder, more dilute than simply stirring. Also gives the drink a slightly clouded appearance and can leave small shards of ice on the surface, easily prevented by use of a fine strain. That's what I discovered when I made it. That recipe shaken is obviously more diluted than the same recipe stirred, but I kind of preferred the slightly dilute shaken one because that's a fuck ton of booze. That is like a fuck ton of booze. And being slightly diluted was good. Annette, do I ever do anything for Yule midwinter? I, as a friend of Mrs. Angry's, who used to do a winter solstice party every year, I don't think I've been for a couple of years. There's a place that was like right out on the perimeter, one of the perimeter suburbs. So it was almost bushland. It was a fun place to have a winter solstice party. We're going to have to get Aidsy a bobblehead, aren't we? God, those fucking ads are everywhere. Just cookies. It's because I clicked on it once. It's just remembered, oh, he clicked on it once. Show it to him again. He might click on it again. Jesus. It's really disturbing. What will we do? The Three Gulps Martini, Irish whiskey cocktails. I've got some Irish whiskey. What Irish whiskey cocktails are? A 1920s artist. Okay, that's got weird ingredients that I don't have. Irish whiskey and sherry. Red currant, I don't have that. A blackthorn Irish. Whiskey, vermouth, Boker's bitters, and absinthe. Oh, that actually sounds okay. Irish whiskey and vermouth and bitters and absinthe. A brainstorm. Irish whiskey, Benedictine, and dry vermouth. It's called a brainstorm. A Dublin minstrel is Irish whiskey, green chartreuse, maraschino, and lime juice. A riff on the classic Last Word. That sounds okay. Ghibli Winters, Irish whiskey and sherry and lemon juice and orange juice, orange sherbet and stout. Okay, I hate beer cocktails. Actually, I don't know. I just don't drink beer. Another one with chartreuse, Irish whiskey, vermouth, green chartreuse, bitters, absinthe, and orange bitters. Oh, there you go. That's a Hearn cocktail. What are the measures on that? 1.5 shot. Jesus. This is actually not messing around. 1.5 shots of Irish whiskey, 1.5 shots of vermouth, half a shot of green chartreuse, then bitters and dash of absinthe, 2 dashes of absinthe. Ugh. Locust Trip, you have friends in Taiwan. Yeah, it would really suck not being able to see people you're missing. And you want to try wassailing. Oh, I think I know what that is. Oh, Shrika Sega, enjoy your movie, man. And Stella, good evening to you. I've seen references to Wassailing. Drink plentiful amounts of alcohol and enjoy oneself in a noisy, lively way. Tradition of wassailing falls into two distinct categories: the house visiting wassail and the orchard visiting wassail. House visiting wassail, practice for people going door to door, singing and offering a drink from the wassail bowl in exchange for gifts. This practice still exists, but it's largely been displaced by caroling. Orchard visiting wassail refers to the ancient custom of visiting orchards in cider-producing regions of England, reciting incantations and singing to the tree. Is that the one you wanted to do, the singing to the tree? Look, sure, I think universities are about to start. Like schools are starting. I think universities are getting ready to start. Oh, there you go, Laura. You keep getting dating groups. That's the one thing Gmail does it sometimes, but because I'm never looking up dating stuff, so I never get things. Yep. And now you're all about singing to trees. This is the thing. I get bogged down in looking at possible choices for drinks. This is a stirred cocktail. Oh, I'm kind of tempted with that one. Irish coffee, Irish made. Parlez-vous Irish cocktail. Irish whiskey with cognac and Grand Marnier and okay. Oh, that's sounding tempting. 1 shot of cognac, 1 shot of Irish whiskey, half a shot of Grand Marnier, half a shot of Benedictine. And this is a stirred one. Oh, I might do that. I have drowned viewing of it. I'll just put like a Cointreau in place of Grand Marnier. Yeah, I'm going to make that. Like a trooper studying something, keep your mind active. That's a good idea. Dude, find universities online, not like a dodgy online university, but there's good stuff you can do online. Yep, singing to trees and drinking cider sounds good, Annette. Mr. Gonzo, thanks for dropping by. All right. Oh, God, Stella. Ads on Facebook. Over 25, still single? Try this dating sites. Yeah. No, if you have a relationship status single on Facebook, they will fucking barrage you with dating sites. All right. I got to get these components for a parlez-vous. Parlez-vous Irish cocktail. So cognac and Irish whiskey and Benedictine. Okay, so my Irish whiskey is Jameson. Benedictine. Gotta get all the bottles out. It's a mini bottle drink. Cointreau. What else was it? Cognac, yes, cognac. The whole shot of cognac. Where's my cognac? Ukar Gold. Ooh, I get Ukar fired. Where did I put the cognac? Christ, I'm getting so absent-minded. Is it already in the back? No, there it is, there. It moved. Not my fault. Right. Cognac. Get my stirring cup. And I'll put some chunks of ice in that. Okay, stay there, glass. Chilling away. Okay, so on this. That was interesting. Put 2 big chunks of ice in here. Very interesting. Okay. Put that back. Okay. I need my strainer. I'll get my strainer. Okay. Champs-Élysées is a bizarre place. Okay, so. So, Annette, you did a Future Learners Free Uni courses, did one on schizophrenia. Nice. Look, Shub, you've done degree in IT engineering, degree in psychology, degree in graphic design. I think you're doing business studies. Dude, never stop learning. It's a good impulse to have. If you've got the impulse to study something, I'll take a. Is this a new bottle? No, I have opened it. I just don't drink much Irish whiskey. I must have had this for a while. Oh, I need my fucking jigger. Duh. Not free pouring. Okay. Oh, God. Stella, that's harsh. You hate to think what Facebook would think if they knew you were over 35 and single. They'd be advertising a euthanasia clinic in Switzerland. Oh, that's dark. Okay. One shot of Irish whiskey. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. Laura, ever seen how the UK government got everyone angry because of the Cummings lockdown rule scandals? Yeah, it's good to say. I don't think, it's even the UK government that's in trouble. It's Boris. Yeah, like a few people have asked the question, if you were to guess what animal is Boris sticking his dick into that Cummings has a photo of? Because it's really starting to look like that must be why Boris is still protecting him. Oh, nice. Invisible Chicken. You did a Bachelor of Arts Creative Writing, Bachelor of Law, currently doing Bachelor of International Studies. Nice. I did not do business at uni. I did communications. My lad is doing some business studies at uni at the moment. It's a good option. Get a good course in there. So I'm going to half a shot of Cointreau and half a shot of Benedictine. You have to be super old to have gone to university and not have a HECS debt. Like me, I got out the year before they introduced it. Benedictine. This is going to be herby and sweet and grapey. Stella, it's just Jamison's Irish whiskey. It's from Costco. So it's a fucking big-ass 1 litre bottle of Jamison's Irish whiskey that I got from Costco. Don't know why I'm saying that's big. Their big bottles are 1.75 litres. I literally only did the 1 degree. I did a BA in communications. So was it Liberals that introduced HECS? No, it was Bob Hawke, I think. I'm not sure. I think Aidsy has more than 1 degree. He might have got a teaching degree, or maybe he just did his master's. I have to ask him if you see him again. Didn't hear from him today, so I'm going to stir this for a bit. Chill it down. Dilute it just a little bit because it's all booze. Oh, that's interesting. In fact, I'm going to look it up. Who introduced HECS? Which party introduced HECS? It was Hawke. Yeah, I thought it was Hawke. Fucking entrenched neoliberal bullshit in Australia. Ugh. So I got my chilled glass, 'cause I'm suave and sophisticated. And that's the thing you do when you're suave and sophisticated. Chill your glass. Look, Trooper, I think Aidsy got a teaching qualification. I'm not sure. We have to ask him if and when he next surfaces. All right. So for I think, the more advanced courses, your checks get bigger. So it's basically some courses are just more expensive than others. So that's my Parlez-Vous Irish cocktail. It's pretty. Ooh, that Irish whiskey going down. Dang, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. You got like sweetness from the orange liqueur and the Benedictine, herbal stuff from Benedictine, and a nice boozy note from a shot of Jameson and a shot of cognac. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. It's a nightcap. I think it's a very boozy drink. This one. Is he all right, Locust Trooper? I don't know. I didn't hear from him today. I sent him a message about live stream and didn't hear back. So Difford's call this an after dinner sipper of a cocktail. Yep, that's an appropriate late night sipper, this one. So has the HCVC gotten stricter for uni courses? You're probably lot. Man, I'd probably be completely screwed if I had to do. God, I can remember having a dream, but I had to go back to school and try and graduate. Isn't that weird? That just popped into my head again. That's weird. Oh, yep, that's a good call, Stella. Law is like the most expensive because there's a lot of people want to do it because they think they'll make money as a lawyer. Pottery would be cheaper because low demand, and things like nurses are subsidized because there's a shortage of nurses. Megaleech, I think that's a really common dream. Dreaming you have to go back to school. Oh, I feel like there's some fucking context for it too. Oh, it's weird that just came back to me. Weird fucking dreams. Damn. Weird dreams. Most nights I wake up, or mornings, I wake up not remembering dreams, but having this vague feeling like we're going, oh God, I think I had some really fucked up dreams last night. I can't remember them at all. There's just this general vibe of my brain had wandered off somewhere super fucked. Invisible Chicken, you studied law not wanting to be a lawyer. Apparently, that's common. Like, there are reasons to study law that don't involve being a lawyer. It's a value in a lot of different ways. So, yeah. Look at you. What age do I reckon I'll get to? You reckon you'll make it to 60? Dude, I'm at the age where I don't like to think about it. No. I'm at the age where it's all a bit too real to start thinking about how much longer you're going to last. I hope I soldier on for quite a while. I want to be around for a long time. But yeah, I have to admit to not spending too much time thinking about it. In fact, it's weird because every now and then AZ Code Grey videos show up in like my recommendations on YouTube, and every now and then I watch them because I think I haven't like seen that video for 10 years. I'm going to watch it. And so when I watch one, then I tend to get more. But there was one that I rewatched only a day or two ago because it popped up. And it was when I was saying to him, this is 10 years ago, and his health is so much fucking worse. Like there is no way on God's green earth that AZ could possibly do a live show now. He simply couldn't stay awake for it. But even 10 years ago, I was really worried about his health. And I'm doing a little interview with him, and I'm going like, ooh, I feel like this is tempting fate, this whole show, because you're mocking death in the show, and you're setting up to do a 3-week run of this show, which is a little bit punishing for anyone, and your health is not the greatest. There's got to be a bit of a worry that you won't make it. I almost didn't want to bring it up because I thought it was a fucked up thing to bring up. But we had a good talk about why you shouldn't be scared of death and why you shouldn't worry too much about things going wrong, because it's something you can't control, and worrying about it won't change it. Laura, you're immortal. Changed your name Feb last year, so Laura's 13 months old despite being born in 1974. Well, that, my friend, is an achievement. Cheers to you. This is actually quite good. If you like boozy liqueur cocktails, this is good. Some people only like the sweet cocktails or light cocktails, and that's fine. This one is quite the boozy number, and I really like the flavors though. Like there's a mix with the whiskey and the herbal and the sweet. It's good. Do I think there's an afterlife? I think it's somewhat irrelevant because I think there's no connection to this life and anything that happens after. So I have no conscious connection to anything that comes after. There's not much relevance to my life today if something comes after. That's my polite way of saying no. But also, on a slightly deeper level, I don't think it's particularly relevant. I feel if I'm going to be really dark, I feel most traditions of an afterlife were invented because people were terrified of the concept of not existing. Whereas I think that's a natural part of things. You didn't exist before you were born. Again, unless you're into reincarnation, then people will say that you existed before you were born because you were someone else. I do not believe that. I'm a bit of a pragmatist in that there is no evidence whatsoever of any sort of afterlife that has any connection to our lives. So I don't think it's important. But there are ways of things looking at it, like, if you die and you go into the earth, you decay, you become part of the earth. elements of the earth feed on you, whether it's worms or microbes or whatever. If you want to be philosophical, you can look at that. It's the scientific principle. Matter can neither be created nor destroyed. It can only change state. So the matter of which I am composed will never go away, but it will change state. Invisible Chicken, you, a nice woman, had stage 4 breast cancer. She was studying law. She gave it up. She really came to terms. No. There's so much cancer in my family. I try not to be paranoid about it, but there's so much fucking cancer in my family. Every now and then I think about it and go, yeah. That's a statistically significant sort of group of cancer. So AZ, having died several times, is like the bad guy Vigo in Ghostbusters 2, who's poison shot, stabbed, hung. Yeah, I think the Vigo thing was a joke inspired by the legend of Rasputin's murder, that he was poisoned but didn't die, and he was like stabbed and shot, and they chased him, and it took basically the legend of Rasputin's death has a real sort of supernatural, otherworldly thing in that he was super difficult to kill. Safa, next time AIDS is on, try and ask. I don't want to speak for AIDS on questions of afterlife or seeing anything on the other side of death. Next time AIDS is on, which will hopefully be like tomorrow, Saturday night, the date night, so I'm not going to be here. And I probably won't be here on Sunday night either. But might make a party of it tomorrow night, so we'll hopefully have AIDS on for that. Have to remember, ask him his views on the afterlife, because AIDS has some rather deep philosophical things, and if he's properly awake, it would be very entertaining. If he's half sleepy, he's going to wander off on rambles. But I thought by pure luck, chance, on his birthday, he was really good. Sunday night, he was really alert and with it, and it was really enjoyable. I feel really guilty the nights we have to say to him, dude, go to bed, dude. You're trying so hard, and you're just losing consciousness while you sit there. You need to go to bed. So for the Russian cream, like Rasputin's member, Rasputin, Russia's greatest love machine. It was a shame how he carried on. Who remembers Boney M with By the Rivers of Babylon and Rasputin? And they had the song about Moscow for the year the Moscow Olympics were on. Moscow. Or was that Boney M? I feel like it was, but maybe I'm misremembering. Now I need to look it up. What was the discography of Boney M? Boney M vocal group. The Wikipedia entry. 1970s. Okay. So take the hit off me. Love for Me Sale. 1977, Boney M released the second album, Baka. That was their other hit that I remember, about the gangster. So songs of theirs I actually remember. Daddy Cool. I'm looking through the songs there is. I remember Daddy Cool. What about Daddy Cool? Then Baka, The Rivers of Babylon, Where We Lay Down. Rasputin was on their third album. Oh, yes. They did release that religious song, Mary's Boy Child. I remember the 1978 Christmas #1 single. 1978, they made a much publicized promotional visit to Soviet Union. I'm looking, okay. The people who were the public face of Boney M did not actually sing on the albums. That's interesting. And apparently the same person behind Boney M was behind Milli Vanilli, who notoriously had their Grammy withdrawn because they didn't actually sing on the album. Wah, wah, wah. They were just models. Oh, I remember. God, there are more Boney M things I remember than I thought. They had an album called Oceans of Fantasy, and there's a song called Hooray, Hooray, It's a Holly, Holly Day. I remember that. It is. They released The Magic of Boney M, 20 golden hits. Then they read Bunununus. I love they sacked the guy who was the front man, Bobby Farrell, for being unreliable. Probably heaps of cocaine going on. And he wasn't even the singer. He was just the public face, which was hilarious. No, apparently they didn't do the Moscow song. I don't know why. Probably because of Rasputin, I thought they did the Moscow song. Oh, like Megalich is full of the Facebook messages, the Moscow song. Come on, load, you motherfucker. A sec. Daniel sent me Genghis Khan. Oh, yeah, okay. They've spelt it funny, but yes, no. The act was called Genghis Khan. Yeah, okay. Don't know what. Well, I know why I thought it was Boney M, because of the Rasputin song. Oh, Laura, you had a breast cancer scare last year. Turns out, it's just with the growing breasts as a result and a med side effect. Oh, well, I'm glad that's okay. Oh my god, I sort of missed some chat. Safa, how old was I when I listened to my first CD? CDs came out in the 90s, so I was in my 20s. I was in my 20s when CDs came out. Last video game I ever played, still playing Far Cry New Dawn. I haven't been playing it much for the last couple of weeks. I made big inroads into it. I like the Far Cry. Okay, I got a little bundle that was Far Cry 5 and Far Cry New Dawn, which is like a sequel to Far Cry 5. And I think I've also got Far Cry 3 in the bundle, which a lot of people say is the best of the Far Cry games. Fuck, that was a good drink. The Parlez-vous Irish. I have to find from one of my Irish friends, because, of course, if you're saying, do you speak French, it's Parlez-vous Français. I have to find the right Irish word for Gaelic. Parlez-vous Gaelish. I will have to get the pronunciation of that, because the pronunciation of a Gaelic can be very tricky. Yes, I do have a PS4, but I'm playing Far Cry on the PC, not the PS4. Oh no, sorry, CDs came out in the 80s. You're right. God, brain no worky. CDs came out when I were at college, so I would have heard my first. I would have still been a teenager. I would have still been a teenager when I heard my first CD. There you go. I don't know why I thought they came out in the 90s, because we used to play them at the radio station when I was at college in the 80s. So I heard my first CD when I was a teenager. Oh, Stella, you've got an American friend being tested for COVID. Dude, America's so fucked. Sorry, just do I have a decent gaming rib? I have a very averagely powered PC. I actually want to really up the power of my a PC because I want to be able to edit videos in 4K, and my current PC just shits itself if I try to do 4K video on it. But I would very, very, very much like to edit 4K video on my PC because I can shoot 4K video on my camera. My PC just shits itself if I try and edit 4K video on it. So what are the specs? I don't fucking know, dude. I'm on my laptop. I'm not on my desktop PC. And I never remember technical details. Basically, my PC is a couple of years old, and it is pretty good, but not cutting edge specs for 3 years ago. So that tells you how out of date my PC is. It was pretty good, but not cutting edge specs 3 years ago. Why don't I upgrade? Because the fucking Bitcoin miners made all the components so fucking expensive. They need the high-end graphic cards and processors for Bitcoin mining. And for the first time in decades, the price of computer components went through the fucking roof. And at the moment, with all sorts of fucking international shit being fucked up by COVID-19, components are probably more expensive than ever now. Where does the time go? You're right, it is pretty much 10 o'clock. 2 hours of rambling, chatting with you fine people has raced by. Sorry, I just saw Big Leach and Stella talking about just your American friend, a celebrity. They're actually doing hundreds of thousands of tests a day in the US now, I think. They finally ramped it up. The fucking ineptitude of the Trump administration took them months and months to ramp up the testing, but they did finally ramp it up. I think the Johns Hopkins site actually says how many tests that were done in the US. Let me see if I can find it. If I go US, that's cases. I'm sure they had a thing on how many tests had been done in the US. I'll look at their US map. What is that telling me? Deaths by county. It's really morbid. I really don't want to know that. Testing. That's what I wanted to see. Overview. Questions about testing. Testing insights. Oh, because Johns Hopkins is doing testing. That's what they're doing there. Okay. Coronavirus Resource Center. Okay, there have now been over 15 million tests done in the US. Now that's 5% of their population, which is not great. Their per capita testing is not great, but at least the numbers are going up. It took months for them to start to ramp up the testing. But yeah, they've tested 15 million people now. So the tests are getting more widespread. Oh, yeah, Laura, good point about lighting. If you go 4K, put a yellow lighting. I have tended to, use filters. I have some lights that are more yellow and some lights that are more blue. And I sometimes use filters to do it. What's my frame rate on Far Cry? I don't know. Dude, I do not pay attention to things. And Locust Trooper, good question. Don't I have a lot of money? Don't I have a good job? Why don't I upgrade? I don't upgrade partly because I'm lazy and partly because I'm like really cheap. And I grew up poor. I grew up in a country town. Dad was a small businessman, 10 kids, fucking never had money, man. I always assume I'm going to be poor. I'm not at the moment. I'm doing really well. I'm doing really well. Probably the best I've ever done. In fact, I think it's quite safe to say my economic position at the moment is by far the most secure it's ever been in my life. But it's just like, I could spend a couple $1,000s on upgrading my computer. I just think, I'm just too tight-fisted to do. I should do it at some point. I don't know. I keep, waiting for something to go wrong. So I don't want to spend a couple $1,000s. But maybe I will. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just go to bed. Thank you, wonderful people, for sharing time with me. It's been fabulous to have your company. I hope you all do well. I hope you look after yourselves. Hope to see you again too. Tomorrow's Friday night. Probably make more than one cocktail tomorrow night. Party night. And hopefully have AIDSy on, and hopefully he'll be awake. And you can ask him about his philosophy and afterlife. You think I get into philosophy? AIDSy really likes to get into really metaphysical philosophy. So that could be fun if we can get him tomorrow night, and if he's cogent and can talk about his philosophies and his experiences with the other side. Because he has actual experience. So take care, one and all. You're all fabulous people. Oh, yes, thanks, Laura. Do a thumbs up. Let's fool the YouTube algorithm into thinking that people like me. So take care, one and all. You're all fabulous. I hope you stay well, but I will say